Okay, welcome to video 2, video 13. This video is going to be on disinhibition, so that's our second theory that we're relating to media influences on aggression. There's a fair bit of overlap with disinhibition and desensitization, so I just want to kind of clarify the difference between the two before we get stuck in. So desensitization is all about normalization through repeat exposure. Disinhibition is relating specifically to social norms, okay, and if we relate to kind of the different types of social norms that we have, we've got both implicit and explicit social norms. So implicit being there's kind of underlying unwritten social norms, and the explicit those being laws that kind of govern society. So disinhibition is about losing the inhibitory effect that we have on our own behaviour. Again, for exposure to aggression, but it's rather looking at social norms instead of looking at normalisation through exposure, okay, which is what desensitization is all about. So this theory assumes that people are naturally aggressive. Okay? We all have natural aggressive tendencies, and we all have impulses to behave aggressively. But we know, and I guess we could think about the kind of biological explanation here a little bit, that we're going to overlap with that we have these inhibitory mechanisms. Yeah, we have our limbic system that works in conjunction with the two aspects. Yeah, our hippocampus and the amygdala that work together. Okay, the hippocampus relating to past experiences and our long-term memory, and the amygdala, assessing that sensory information and making those appropriate responses. So we have biologically inhibitory mechanisms. Okay, we know when to respond with some form of aggression or not if it's needed. Okay, and often enough we will be able to inhibit and self-regulate our own behaviour. So we all have these impulses. We all have aggressive behaviour, and we all have the ability to be aggressive. Okay. However, we are usually held in check, and thus aggressive behaviour is usually inhibited. Okay, we usually, through our own experience and through knowing about consequences as well, know that aggressive behaviour isn't appropriate. Frequent exposure to media aggressive can lead viewers to feel that aggression is an acceptable behaviour, that it can be helpful. So, social norms. We're picking up on the idea of social norms here with disinhibition. Social norms, so children learn that aggressive behaviour is wrong through experience. Okay, and we know that social norms are created by society, and children experience these social norms and learn from them. For example, they may be punished with the naughty step for hitting a sibling, and they learn this implicit social norm within that family unit that it's not okay to be hitting your siblings. Okay, we've all been told off for doing that, probably, maybe, I don't know. It is by learning the social norms of society and what is and is not acceptable in terms of aggressive behaviour. Most individuals keep their aggressive impulses under control. We may feel angry, but we do not physically hurt anyone, as we know it's wrong, and therefore are likely to be consequences for this. So I guess we can underline a few things here. Go to my highlighter, and we can elaborate on a few of these pieces. Okay, so this idea that we are naturally aggressive is really important. That we all have these impulses, but generally we are able to inhibit our aggressive tendencies. Okay, free media aggression, though, we feel that the aggressive behaviour can be acceptable, and generally we act in accordance with our social norms. Okay, and we know there's consequences. Okay, so generally we adhere to the social norms, and we are in line with that idea that aggression is wrong. Now, we then start to think about how social norms can change, and how that could then affect our aggressive behaviour. So, according to the idea of disinhibition, okay, again, it's directly linking to social norms, the usual restraints around aggression are loosened after exposure to violent media. So again, it is an exposure theory, but we're saying here that by repeat exposure, the social norms may change, and that will effectively loosen those inhibitory behaviours that we have, stop us from having that inhibitory effect. aggressive behaviour in the media can appear normative and socially sanctioned. In other words, it can be accepted. Further, it is not unusual for computer games to show violence as being rewarded at the same time, as its consequences being minimised and ignored. And often, the violent video games, there are rewards for being violent. If we look at a lot of, media violence, TV-wise, the success of the characters by being aggressive, could that change the norms? Could that change the social norms and lead to disinhibition? We can also bring in here social learning theory. Can explain how this influences the viewer's use of the media. For example, seeing a role model in a game or television being rewarded for aggressive behaviour motivates the individual to imitate. Okay. Now, at this point, I want to pause the video and what key factor, what key part of social learning theory is this kind of alluding to, this idea of being rewarded through somebody else. Just pause the video there and just have a little think. Okay, so we might want to do some elaboration then and pick up on the idea of vicarious reinforcement. I'm sure you've all got that idea that if we observe an aggressive role model being rewarded, we are more likely to then repeat that behaviour. So we're bringing in social learning theory here as well. This creates new social norms, okay? And this is the idea that through media exposure and seeing that these characters, these computer games, these people are getting rewarded for aggressive behaviour, it goes against the social norm that you would normally have in your family. Okay? It challenges that social norm. And in the long term, prolonged exposure to violence gives the messages that violence is a normal response and that actually you can be rewarded for that behaviour. It changes the social norm. We see this idea of social learning theory and reward vicarious reinforcement, increasing the likelihood of behaviour and reducing and getting rid of that inhibitory response, hence disinhibition. So, we can then think about factors that make disinhibition more likely. Is there a violent home background? Physical punishment, younger viewers, more likely to be affected. Children who believe their heroes are realistic. Okay. I guess this can link into social learning theory and kind of mediational processes. Yeah. If it's realistic, we're going to be able to have that higher self-efficacy to repeat the behaviour. Children who believe the media reflects real life as well, making it more achievable perhaps. Okay. Factors that make disinhibition less likely is our strong family norms against violence. Okay, so if what we're seeing is if we've got a home life where the social norm, the implicit social norm, is that violence is bad, which generally is the case, then that will challenge the media social norm. Remember, this is related to media violence, and hopefully reduce that disinhibition effect. Adults discuss the issues from the film with their children. Yeah, talking through those and challenging the ideas, not allowing the change in social norms to be in line with the media violence is also a key factor. Okay, now on to the evaluation. Now, again, you've got some supporting research which you can pick apart yourself. Practical applications were actually the same. Okay, the same as the previous evaluation that went through in the first video. And again, we can kind of pick apart maybe a counterpoint in as much as it's quite difficult to impose those regulations, okay, and actually monitor them. So that could be a counterpoint that we want to bring in there. And then we've got the nature and nurture debate, again, very similar to the previous one, picking up on this idea of, we should maybe be looking more towards an interactionist approach, and this idea of the low malabarian as an example, as we know that particular gene is implicated in aggressive behaviour. Should we be looking more towards an interactionist approach? We've got some methodological issues to have a look at, and also some conflicting research. So, that's our second theory relating to media violence. Obviously, we've got some tasks to do, some summary tasks which are set on Go for Schools, as well as the essay plans. Okay, hope that was useful. And we'll start doing some more sort of complex videos, I guess, once I've got used to this. But I hope that was useful just to go through the key elements help you with your kind of note taking and stuff like that. So do check the video and don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe.